Yeah, me? Sure. Of course I can.
157. Okay.
Yeah.
I had guacamole. I want to brush my teeth. Not that you can smell my breath, but I can smell my breath.
Okay.
So, you know how that goes. All right. Right there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Hey there.
Hey there yourself. How are you?
Okay, I love the we can put backgrounds and then I didn't have to make the bed.
Oh, that's, yeah. I do it old school. I'm covering up all the clutter behind me. So with my famous backdrop here. So.
Oh, hi, Dean. I'm like giving you a big hug.
Sure is nice. Sure is nice to see you. We just talked on your Zoom call not too long ago.
Yeah, but I was just thinking the other interviews we've done over the years have always been on the phone, and it's nice to actually see your face. So
thank you. Yeah. Well, you met me once, so you knew what I looked like.
No, I do. Haven't I met you more than once?
I don't think so. I think I met you at the Hotel Cafe when you and Scout Durwood were doing something, and you were releasing an album that night, I think.
Mm-hmm. I just see your face a million times. I guess that's
sometime before you're going to release your was it April's? What is the
April 23rd, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
I have no because of COVID. I think it's like this collective trauma that we've all been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had PTSD in the past, from having cancer. And this feels a lot like PTSD, just forgetting what day it is.
Yeah.
Kind of just like losing track of all the things I'm supposed to be doing. I literally will completely forget really important things. But I remember that happening, when I had PTSD before. So I think that it's just something that it's been a year now, right? And I think it's just, it's understandable that we're all hitting a wall. So.
Yeah. We were all sick of it when it started, but it's interesting and sometimes sad, the things that have happened over the course of a year with everyone that right?
Yeah.
It's all, no matter what they're doing, everybody has been affected by it in some way. So
every single person, absolutely. And life has changed, and I think people are more clear on their priorities. And I think it's been very interesting on relationships. You're either, closer or you're splitting up. I see that a lot.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things in our house are not that way. I mean, we're kind of like on par. Same thing. We've been through lots of things together. We got through this. We'll get through more.
Yeah, Chip and I have been through a lot together too. I mean, pre-COVID, but there isn't anybody else I'd rather be quarantined with. That's for sure.
That's a nice thing to say about him. Yeah,
I like out there. Yeah,
I'm sure he knows that. Yeah, I got to see him for that's probably the most I've talked to Chip too. I think the last time I talked to him, he was. I got to go. Sorry, I'm busy with I'm busy running behind the scenes here with Cindy. So.
Yeah, he does that.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Dean Olson. I am a songwriter, radio host, and producer from Orange County, California. And I'm really just an average guy who loves to make music. But when I get behind this microphone, I become the strong writer on the radio, helping songwriters and artists keep musically fit. And the way I love to do that is through faith and hope and encouragement, by taking in the stories and experiences told to me by my wonderful guests, and by learning from the best in the business and passing it along to you. And now let's start the show. What do I got on tap here? I gotta.
Where's your cape, Dean? You need a superhero cape. The strong writer superhero cape.
I heard that not all heroes wear capes, but then I'll have to get one. I'll have to get one specially made.
Shiny, yeah.
My wife loves to craft things, so maybe she can make me up one if I ask her. She would. Anyway, since the guest sort of is introducing herself, but let me give her a proper intro. It's another beautiful day for a great show, and how can it be anything but that? Because I have a very special guest visiting with me today. The woman on the screen that you're seeing is the always beautiful, always kind, always talented Cindy Alexander. She's been on my show before. She's a songwriter and a recording artist raised in Los Angeles, and but today she's made her home somewhere up north in California, Big Sur, I believe. And I remember when that happened, it was a big shock to us all. But Cindy has a list of awards and people she's collaborated with. You know the story. You've heard her. You can go back and listen to the podcast. And she's been on here before. And she has a brand new album today. her 10th, I believe. Maybe she'll correct me on that. It's called While the Angels Sigh. It's due for release in April, somewhere in the middle of April, and whatever. I just want to talk to her right now. Cindy Alexander, please check in, and everybody, let's welcome her with a big applause.
Thank you.
Nice to see you in color. Wonderful. This is great.
I got out of my loungewear for you. I put on a colorful shirt. Yeah.
What's your normal
here?
What's your normal attire when you're just hanging around the house?
Flannel pajama sweat pants, a sweatshirt, a beanie, gloves, and a scarf.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
You've grown up in LA. That's what a lot of girls just wear that outside going to the market and stuff. So I notice that nowadays. So how's home life now? Why did you leave us down here in the big city, and now you're up in kind of in the mountain between the mountains and the sea up there in Big Sur, aren't you?
I am. I'm right where the forest meets the sea.
Yeah.
I'm in a place called Carmel Highlands, which is the very top of Big Sur.
Wow.
And it is a place that I fell in love with. Chip and I started coming up to Big Sur for our birthdays 5 years ago. And we would drive around and say, wouldn't it be so cool someday, to live here? And we would drive, past the school and go, the kids could go to school here. And we just had this dream in our heads, but it was something that we also thought was going to happen way down the line. And then, life happened. My mom passed away in May, and there was a lot of unrest in Los Angeles, between the protests and the riots and watching my city burn, not only from, protests, but also just the wildfires, living near Griffith Park. And there was, issues with the schools for the kids, really, really large, thousands and thousands of kids in middle school. And after my mom passed, I felt like I just didn't need to be there. I didn't need to be close to her to take care of her anymore. And now I had this angel, and it just someday became now. The schools up here are A+, really small teacher-student ratio, perfect for my kids.
Yeah. Chip
and I already love it up here. The air is so pure, so clean. Nobody was touring, so it wasn't like I had to be in Los Angeles, to hop on a plane or rehearse with anybody, because nothing was going on. And we just started to realize, I think as we all did in our respective jobs, that we didn't have to be in an office. We didn't have to be in Los Angeles. And, just decided to make a dream come true and moved up here. And I'm not looking back. I don't miss LA at all. Okay.
Yeah, I can understand that. We've toyed with that idea of leaving, but we always stick around. But you just never know when you'll make that decision. It's just something that you and Chip and the girls have to come up with on your own. You have to live that life.
Yes. And I can tell you that I've never been sure of anything as much as I'm sure about this move. Even when I got married, okay, there's always that 1%, am I doing something stupid? No.
Yeah.
No. Of course, then I look back now and I made 110% the right decision. But moving here, I got out, as soon as I stepped out of the car and I looked at this house and I breathed in the air, it felt so right. Every day I walk around, and look out at the ocean and the pine trees, and I smell the cypress, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be. And it's also known as a creative vortex. I feel so inspired. And, even just, I always think a lot about, purpose and meaning of life and all that, and time. And I feel so embraced by Mother Nature here, and so in awe of it. And I'm really happy here.
It just seems like you are. I've always guessed that you were sort of at one with nature, especially when you're in that environment. You make certain references to it. You love to take pictures of, as we do too, sunsets and like the backdrop you have. You could be probably looking out your window and see something similar to that right now.
It is. That is what we see at night. Yeah, nice. That's our sunset.
Big Sur is interesting. My wife and I have we have a very special place in our heart for Big Sur, and we've only crossed it one time, but we've never forgotten it. That was 1985. That's forever ago. And we took a trip up there, but the memories are foggy. And I mean that literally, because we were driving up Highway 1, and the fog just set in, and we all of a sudden we're going up these twists and turns at
scary.
Probably about 15 miles an hour because we couldn't see in front of us. And then we had to pull over, and we fell asleep in the car because we felt like we were stuck. All we were doing was just trying to get to San Francisco.
No, it is.
We thought we took the scenic route. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
even on the mountain where I live, the first time I drove up it, I was completely terrified. And now I'm more used to it.
Yeah. But now you have that was interesting, because when the piece of the road fell out a couple months back, up there on, what was that? Was that actually Highway 1 that got it fell into the sea, actually, literally. I showed that to my wife, and she goes, "Oh no," because What actually was that? You remember? Was it the rains or something that did that?
No, we had a really, really big storm. And this has happened before. I mean, I remember there have been several times where instead of taking Highway 1, Chip and I had to go up and around, through Monterey and come back down.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really bad storm, and, and the road washed away, and it's happened before. Wow.
That's but regardless, I mean, how far away from your where you sit right now was that location?
Oh, it's much further south. It's probably about half an hour south.
Yeah, so you weren't in any danger of trying to get back and forth to places. So
no, I'm good. The only thing is there is a place just north of us that sometimes the water will go over the highway, but we were fine. Yeah.
So let's see what we haven't talked about in our previous shows. We talked a little bit about how you met your husband. I know it was Match.com. That was so that's pretty cool that you're still together and happy and everything. And it really depends on the chemistry and your commitment that you're as you said, through a pandemic, you made it through, and you're still going strong. Was it love at first sight when you guys got together? Since you had met online, so to speak?
No. It was not love at first sight.
Okay.
It was, I really liked this person. And it took, do you mind if I just shut the door? Because my dad's here and he's on a Zoom and I can hear him.
Okay.
Hold on just one sec.
Cindy's walking off into the sky here. There she goes. Well, this has been wonderful getting to see her. Here she comes back from the sky.
Back from this guy. So my dad is hard of hearing, and he's on a Zoom too. He's visiting us, and he yells. They all yell at each other because they can't hear each other. It's a senior Zoom. So we're all going to get there. We're all going to get there. So
I'm almost there. I got a half a hearing in one ear, so I understand. Yeah.
Oh wow. So we're talking about Chip. So
sure.
So it was the third date when he disagreed with me. We were debating some issues. And I loved the fact that he disagreed with me, because that hadn't happened in a long time, just like but it was a respectful debate. And then when I decided I was in love and I knew that he was going to be it, was he took me, I had to put my cat down, my first cat, Kahlua. And I was an absolute mess. And when I came out after, I held her while the doctor put her down, and I wanted some extra time afterwards. When I came out, I went to go pay the bill, and the doctor's like, "Oh no, it's already been taken care of. That gentleman took care of it." So Chip took care of it and got me through it. And he saw me and he had like a little bit of a watery eye. Like a little tear in his eyes, like, I'm like, oh my God, he feels that deeply, he's empathizing and feeling my pain there. And that was it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to marry that guy. He didn't know it yet, but I did.
Oh, good. So what he did worked. That's good. Good for Chip. Yeah. So, and then you got two lovely little girls out of it. How old are they now? They must be.
Okay. Jet and Perry are twins, and they are going to be 12 in May. But they're taller than I am, which doesn't say much because I'm only 5'2". Yeah. But They look like they're 16, 17. They go in, they take my clothes now, wear them.
Yeah. They're as precocious as I imagine that you were at that age, because you told me how, didn't you used to say, for people that don't know Cindy, she has a nickname called Peanut, and she likes to spell it with, the letter P and nut. And how does that, what's the origins of that story, that how you became that? So people can get acquainted with you sort of that way.
I became Peanut because when I was born, I was premature and I weighed 4.5 pounds. And the nurse handed me to my mom and said, here's your little Peanut. And that stuck. And my parents would call me their little Peanut. And around the time that, it was the time when AOL started and I had to pick a screen name, I became Peanut Sings. And I'm still on AOL. I'm still Peanut, P-N-U-T Sings at AOL.
Still are, right.
I refuse to let that go. And and so Peanut just kind of, everybody started calling me Peanut.
Yeah. From people who just get to know who you are, they're going to go, well, I don't understand that Peanut thing, but now you've explained that, so that's good. And didn't you have this huge voice at a little age?
I did. I always sang. From the time I could talk, I sang. I would go into my mom's closet and wear her clothes and her high heels and, take the, shampoo bottle and pretend it was a microphone and start singing.
And you have a beautiful way of songwriting, but the thing that'll grab a person when they listen to your music is the voice. It's you can go from very sweet, and then all of a sudden you can belt out some choruses, and you're on pitch and everything, and it's just amazing. I don't know if is this a natural thing, or did you have to take some training to make sure that you had this voice in control, or we're just seeing a natural phenomenon here?
The voice is natural, but it was trained. It was trained by actually cantor Nathan Lamb. He was the cantor at a temple that I went to as a kid. And he also was a voice coach for stars, for people like Patti LuPone and Rod Stewart. And he would also rehab people that had lost their voices.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing.
I remember, I remember he was working, with Motley Crue at one point.
Wow.
But I was a little kid and he recognized something in me. And so my range was expanded. That's one thing that training will do. I have a coloratura soprano, but I also have a deep alto. And that was from a voice being nurtured and trained properly.
Yeah.
So that control is something that was developed over time, but the voice itself and the sound is natural. I have a double deviated septum. So it's almost like there's a resonance to my voice that is unique because of that. So
double deviated septum. I had single or whatever. I don't know. What does that mean? I'm just.
Oh, okay. So if you look at the inside of a nose, there can be a clear little pathway for air, but sometimes in the septum, there's little divots. And I have 2 on both sides. So it's just sound resonates differently. That's why Barbra Streisand never got a nose job, because it would change your voice. It does. And I have horrible allergies, and I've had sinus infections all my life because of that. But I never did anything about it because I didn't want to change my voice. So
yeah,
I'm also missing a sinus. That was another thing I found out when I got a CT scan when I was really, really sick. And it was funny because the doctor's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You're just, evolutionary speaking, you're just higher up. You don't need it anymore." I was so sick, and it was so funny. It came after the day that I had gone to the orthopedic doctor because I was so sick. I had taken NyQuil, and I got up in the middle of the night and I just broke my toe.
Oh gosh.
And he had said, "Do you know you're missing a bone in your toe?" I'm missing a bone in my toe. I'm missing sinus. I'm like, okay, all right, it's all good. It's all good. What did my mother take when she was pregnant? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's nice that thanks for just sharing that a little bit. I wasn't even expecting. Yeah, I wasn't even expecting that part of the story, but I was just wanted. I think through it all, I was just trying to compliment your voice in sort of a descriptive way because it's very ear catching. You know, it'll grab you when you're not expecting it. So.
Well, thank you. Now you know. Now you know why, because I'm biologically different. Right?
You're biologically, and you've been doing this for. Now you've had. Was I right when I introduced you and said that this is going to be your 10th record?
It is my 10th record, but on top of that, there's a bunch of soundtracks and compilations and things that I've been a part of.
Yeah. Do those count, or is this the 10th actual studio album that you've made?
Yeah, this is the 10th the Alexander studio record. Okay. Yeah.
What was number one? Was that See Red, or was there one before that? Okay.
See Red.
That's a good album. I liked Curve. I liked what was the I liked everything after Curve. It was fun to watch the evolution from that point, because that's when I really started learning about you, because that was the first time we talked when you were doing that one. So Curve was 2015, 2014, 2015, something like that.
2014. That was the result of me signing with Blue Elan.
Right.
And I never would have been able to finish that record were it not for Kirk Passage. I had started recording it and wasn't able to finish it. Because I was going through cancer at the time. And with the downturn in the economy, even though I was fan funding, they just didn't have as much to give, so I hadn't completed my budget yet for that record. And he knew that I was having problems with my insurance company, and he'd been following my career for a long time. And he reached out to me and he said, look, if you need some help, I also, as a lawyer, work with insurance companies, and let me see if I can help you out. And when I went in to meet him, for what I thought was going to be a class action lawsuit against my insurance company, he said, what would you rather do? Would you rather, me represent you pro bono for this lawsuit, or do you want to finish your record? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'd like to help you finish your record, but I can't, which one do you want to do? I'm like, the record. So he helped me, he contributed towards the budget of the record so that I could finish it. And when the record was completed, he said, you need to do something with this record, Curve. This is fantastic. And I said, then you should start a record label. And Blue Elan was born, and I was the first artist, and Curve was the first record.
So you were part of that maiden voyage you had there. So that's great. Thank you for telling that story. Now I didn't have to ask you. See how I did that a little? I sort of worked that in, but it's really nice. I just I love these little serendipities, and also the way things just sort of work out as you go along your path.
Yeah.
And did you ever stress any about making a career in music? I mean, were you was it rough starting out, or did you have I'm just curious, was it easy for you to
I don't think that I don't think that anybody in the entertainment business is going to say that it's an easy choice. You don't do it because it's easy. You do it because you have to, because you are a creative person that when you are given these gifts, you're supposed to give them back. You're meant to give them back. And when you align your gifts and your purpose, and you do what you love, it doesn't matter how hard it is, because the personal rewards and the satisfaction are just, they go beyond money. They go beyond what somebody else's version of success is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So we just want to I want to keep making better records. I want to keep reaching more people. That's, that is on a business level. That's, where my head's at. But I make music because I have to. I would go insane if I didn't. And I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to, meet Kirk, be a part of the Blue Elan family. They've given me, so many opportunities, many more opportunities to make music that I would have had on my own, with a wonderful team behind me. And I'm super grateful, and I'm just going to keep going. Look, the music business has changed once again. We can't tour. So once again, artists are not only reinventing themselves, but they're having to learn new skills. We have to think outside the box as to how we're going to reach people. For me, it's always been about personal connection. I love meeting people. I love singing directly to them. I love meeting them after the show. I love learning about, the town that I'm in for that day. I've always said music is the key to my adventure. It's not just about the songs and performing. It's about the experience. It's about sharing that experience. So,
music is the key to my adventure. I think that's going to be the title of my show here today. This is, it's beautiful to hear your story. How far back does it go? I mean, you were talking about, singing in your mom's closet and pretending you had a microphone over. When did it start to become when did the dream start to become a real thing where you actually said, hey, I could start doing this for, going out and performing or, whatever it was that you really wanted to do, and it started to happen for you? Can you recall that time?
It was a slow evolution. My parents really didn't want me to go into entertainment. They were supportive of me, as far as nurturing my talent, letting me, take lessons. I went to school at USC. I was in the theater program. But there was always this, are you sure you don't want to be a lawyer? Are you sure you don't want to be a doctor? You love animals. Why don't you be a vet? Because they know how hard this choice is. But I think what happened is I started getting noticed, started winning awards. And I think that, my parents started going, oh, okay, well, somebody else thinks she's good besides us. And I started doing shows in Los Angeles, and a lot of people showed up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just my friends. It was people who actually knew every word to the songs that I had written and were singing along with me. And I think that was kind of like oh, okay. They just wanted me to be okay. They wanted to make sure that I was, going to be safe and be able to pay my bills, that kind of thing. But I think when there were a couple things that really, really helped me. One was, meeting the Bacon Brothers. And I had built up a great fan base in Los Angeles. And the Bacon Brothers came and played the Troubadour back in 1998. They were looking for an opening act. And I was submitted and chosen to open up for them at the Troubadour. And that led to many, many years ever since that we've toured on and off. And I started getting really great opening slots for national and international artists. And that really helps an indie artist build their fan base. It's interesting, there was a point in my career where I was signed to William Morris. And I remember right after signing with them, they're like, all right, so what's your radio budget and your promo budget? Because you can do, I remember it was the Hanson tour. It's you could do the Hanson tour, but you have to commit to, paying $20,000 in each market for promotion. I was like, Then it started to dawn on me how these tours are put together and why a lot of the times you have major label artists with major label artists. So I still, I continued to get some great gigs. I was playing with America, and that's how I reached out to Jerry Beckley after Blue Elan started. When I knew that Rusty Young was on, I said, we should get Jerry.
Wow.
So I'm trying to think. Yeah. So no, I've played with amazing people, Suzanne Vega, Joan Osborne, played with Dishwalla, Edwin McCain, Mark Cohn, so many, these amazing artists. And that's how I built up what I call the peanut gallery,
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you didn't notice already, I'm wearing my peanut.
I love that.
The whole time I'm wearing my official Peanut Gallery member T-shirt that you can get when you become I'm a fan. I consider myself a fan. I like to support you because You're one of my standout guests that I've had on the show, and it's hard to support everybody when you have these many guests over the years.
Well,
you try to stay in touch. Sometimes it's not possible, but whenever I can, I'll support you, even if you're way up there in the Carmel Highlands or wherever that place is up in Big Sur. Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate that. I wanted to bring up one other thing that I think might be helpful.
Okay.
Because I know other artists that follow you and listen to your show.
Yeah.
So opening up for major artists is definitely a great way to build your fan base. But there was a time when people were listening to the radio back in, it was 2003. And I had just done a show. Well, I was about to do a show with Janie Lane from Warrant. And he had asked me to sing backup and play keyboards for him for a show called Metal Mania Stripped for MTV. And at the time, we had the same manager. And he did a promo show at KLOS for Mark and Brian. And when we finished that show, Mark and Brian were like, "Who's that girl?" And Janie was very, kind and introduced me. And after that, I got my own segment with Mark and Brian.
Cool.
And that particular segment really shows the power of radio, because at the time it was a syndicated radio show. And I've always been indie, and I only had a few thousand records, in my closet, printed. Yeah. And I sold out of everything in 24 hours because of the Mark and Brian show. That's
excellent. We wanted to go back, when we were doing our band at the time, we were trying to do that. My buddy and I were trying, the guy who we were getting to drummer, the drummer, he claimed he knew Frank Sontag, and he was going to get us into he was going to get us in, and we kind of bought into it. We said, yeah, this could happen. And then it never did. So we were just like, but we were big listeners of that. And we said, yeah, we loved it when people would come on and play their songs and a lot of times we were introduced to, there were a lot of artists I would never have listened to had it not been for a show like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how I got to know them. So that was good. Was that the show when didn't you play I'm Sick of Myself or something? You played one of those songs from back then.
Oh, you know what? I don't even remember what song.
Yeah, but it's nice that they just pulled you out of the kind of out of the background, right? And they said, we like you and we can give you your own segment. But next time you're on, maybe? Is that how it worked?
It was just a few weeks after that, because I had a record coming out. It was Angels and Demons.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
and they just brought me back in, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience.
That's cool. Yeah, that's the kind of radio I always wanted to do, is where you could have like a bunch of people in the room and have there's a lot of behind the scenes that you got to struggle with, but you like what you do, you really have to love what you're doing, so that all the negative stuff that happens around you almost don't notice it, because you're too focused on the positive, because you love what you like to, you love music, and you love the interaction with the crowd and everything. I do. That all makes it worth it. Yeah,
it does. That's why I love doing house concerts, because I get that intimate, connection with people. I can see their faces, they're close enough, and we can talk about the songs, about them, about their lives. How do you guys know each other? We make food together.
Yeah. If you have the kitchen, you can make the guacamole and the cookies, right? Yeah. That's
right.
That's the thing I like about Cindy. She makes, she's an avocado file or whatever. She loves that stuff. And I liked being able to taste one of your cookies when you did that concert, or when you did one of your release parties. Cindy's a special kind of performer. Well, you know what? You mentioned your mom. Would you mind talking about her with me? Because my father passed away from a very similar experience, and I don't know. It's even rough to talk about now, but
it is. Like, I get teary just when you talk about your mom, because it's still so.
Yeah.
It's May. It was May, but it still feels so fresh to me.
Yeah. I remember when that happened. I was like, I couldn't believe that that the day actually come, and you said goodbye to her back then. It was Do you think you could tell us a real quick thing of why she passed away? What was
my mom had a form of dementia called posterior cortical atrophy. And some doctors will say it's a separate disease from Alzheimer's, and other doctors will say it's a very rare form of Alzheimer's. She also had Lewy body disease with that. Probably the cruelest form of dementia because she knew she had it. It wasn't like in some forms of Alzheimer where they just kind of revert to being a child and they don't know that they have it. She did. She knew she was losing her mind, and she was trapped in a body that wouldn't do what she wanted, and she didn't know how to control. And she went blind because posterior cortical atrophy, that part of the brain processes the images from the eye. So even though the eye is working, the brain can't make sense of what the eyes are seeing. So she was blind. She hallucinated. She was petrified. She always thought she was about to be attacked. Mm-hmm. The brain misfired all the time. The interesting thing is, although she eventually didn't know who my dad was, didn't know who my brother was, she always knew who I was. All I had to do was sing, even when she couldn't see me. If I sang, she'd go, "Oh, my baby, there's my baby." So she always knew it was me. And it was my honor to take care of her. It was my honor to be with her in those last days. And I broke quarantine to go be with her. Mm-hmm. And I just laid next to her in that bed. And, I wasn't going to let her go alone. And it was very, very profound. I can tell you that I still feel her around me. I feel like I get signs all the time. She leaves me feathers, constantly feathers. And I know as much as I told you that I'm positive that I'm where I'm supposed to be, mm-hmm. I know there's something more, and I feel her, and I feel that her body was just a container for that spirit, and that spirit is in a better place. So that's where I'm at with it.
I appreciate you doing that. It was easy for me to stay quiet with because I was actually starting to tear up a tiny bit. I think because I have a very similar experience with what happened to my father in September, because that's when he passed.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And that was his, what he had. Since you shared that, I'll share what he had. He had Parkinson's that he was diagnosed with, Parkinson's disease in 2002, although that's when they traced it back, and he didn't start showing signs of it until, like an advanced stage, probably until maybe 4 years ago, when he started not to be able to drive his car. And, he would fall down constantly. We'd be in public and we'd have to it happened at my daughter's wedding. It happened at, other events. Mm-hmm. And it was becoming the point where pretty soon the point where he couldn't leave the house anymore. And then pretty soon, it set in where he became housebound, and we were taking care of him. My mother was taking care of him all the time, and we were constantly going over. But his thing was combined with Lewy body dementia, same thing that Robin Williams, I believe.
That's what my mom had. My mom had that. Yeah.
So the symptoms or the characteristics, mm-hmm. very, very much what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Hallucinations. I had read about this stuff. I just didn't think it was going to happen. And suddenly he was seeing little children in the corner of the room. Yep. He would mm-hmm. tell me that, and he would tell me, I don't know, just between you and me, he said some things that shocked me. He was acting, like when the nurse was, he asked if I was he asked me, shame on you. I know you're screwing that nurse, and I said, I would say things like, no. He would just say things that were just so off the wall. And
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew, but there was a situation like with the gardener and my mom would, and it was funny. I mean, like you either cry or you laugh. And I can't even remember what it was that she said. But I was like, did my mother just like sexually blatantly sexually come onto the gardener.
Yeah.
You know? my sweet innocent, like would never in a million years, you know?
I know what it's like, because you don't know whether to laugh or to go like, what? That's absurd, you know. But then you have to really, because it's hard to not to take it personally, because there you are in the thick of it, and that person shouldn't be saying that to me or to her or to whomever. And
yeah, but at one point she thought that my dad had passed and that she was dating a new man named Gary. And
gosh,
he looked just like Gary. You know, and I was like, okay, is he nice to you? He's really cute. He's really sweet to me. I think I like him. I'm like, all right.
Oh, gosh, that is so much like what was going on here too, because he would tell me, he would ask me, you know, has your mom moved on or something like that? You know, like that. I couldn't tell if he was asking me, he thought he had died, or he thought that she had left him and had moved on, and is, you know, is she dating anybody now? Or it's like, I don't know what, it's just the strangest things that you're not prepared to go through, especially in the last months of somebody's life. You're just dealing with this weirdness. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, from what I've learned is that you're not supposed to contradict them. Like if they say that there's somebody in the room, I'm like, okay, mom, are they making you uncomfortable? I'll have them leave. I'm going to I'll take care of it. And then I would go, you know, all right, come on, children, let's go. We're going to go outside. We're going to go, whatever it took, you know, or I would like take her outside. And then if she didn't think she was home, I would take her outside and then bring her right back into the house. Okay, you're home now, mama.
Yeah.
You know, it's a crazy, crazy thing to go through. And I know that Robin Williams's wife has, you know, brought to light this disease because people don't understand it. And it's a crazy thing.
But he was, your mom was in hospice, and so was my dad at one time. And then he ended up dying in a memory care facility. We finally were able to move him, you know, during the middle of COVID and everything. And I, much like the same thing that you did, I broke quarantine because the caregivers in there they said, you know what, this is like his last days. Come on in. You can come in. It's okay. And so I was able to go in there, you know, as long as I was wearing the gown and the gloves. At the time we were still doing all that. And I got to do something just like what you're saying. I was able to say goodbye to him in a proper fashion, all by myself. And then my mother and my sister came up later on and did that separately. So it was tough. It's a tough thing to watch, you know, somebody who was so strong and so, you know, so vital during his life and to be reduced to that. And we always wondered if, you know, is it the COVID that it being trapped in that environment, it just sort of accelerated the process. You never know what's going on in that mind. They could be aware that they're kind of stuck there, and that what purpose is it now to keep living? Because here I can't do anything. So it was a very strange time. But when the day, I thought of you when that happened, and that's why I asked you if you'd received my card, because I wanted to sort of tell you a little. I sympathize with what you went through, because I went through something just like it. So
I'm sorry that I know the pain. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that. And it doesn't get easier, but you get more used to it, I guess. But I will tell you that I think it was harder the last 6 months, you know, the last 6 months of watching her be in such pain, emotionally, physically, everything. And knowing that she's losing her dignity. That's the whole thing. She knew her awareness was intact the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, true. And that was the hardest.
I'm counting on my fingers. I'm trying to remember. So I think May was the last great conversation I had with him before he started to not make sense to me anymore. You know, fortunately I have a scary talent of being able to talk on people's level if they're not doing that. Like learning how to talk to a kid and hold a conversation with a kid who's just rambling on. Yeah. I would do that with my dad. And anyway, I'll move on from that, because I think I'm starting to get emotional more than I should. But the reason I thought I'd bring that up is not just because it's between us friends here, but anybody else that who knows if somebody else is watching this and they went through something like this too. They can at least know that they're not alone in this, and it may not happen exactly to the letter, but it's a very similar experience, and we all go through this as families, and it's a tough thing. So just wanted to thank you for that. Okay. So let's see if I can move on. Good time to talk about your album. Usually I go into detail about a lot of stuff. You put out a nice record. Everybody knows it. You do. It's a good. How many tracks on this thing? Maybe 10 or 11. And plus you did an acoustic. You need to.
Sorry, that is my husband that just walked in.
That's okay.
All right.
Husbands are allowed, just as long as they don't. They know their place. No. One of the things that you just released, I mean, just as we're talking, you had just released a new a lyric video for Try.
Yeah.
And that was kind of nice to see. And then it's nice to see those things. Lyric videos are fun because now when you don't have liner notes, you got lyric videos to sort of help you along. And then those misheard lyrics don't happen anymore. I go, oh, that's what she's doing. That's what that thing means.
But I did. There are liner notes and there are lyrics in the hard copy of While the Angels Sigh.
Great. I'll need them.
Lyrics are very important to me. And especially in this record, it was important for me to have all that out there. Try is the first single, and because the record labels right now, they just don't have money coming in because the artists aren't touring, especially like indie labels that do 360 deals. It's a really, really rough time. And so there was no budget for, any kind of, real production videos. They could do some stuff in house, but just, they were more interested in making visualizers. And I wanted, since I can't tour, it was important for me to have a visual representation of the record so that I could virtually get out there if I can't get out there physically, you know? So I decided to just do this myself. And because of the Peanut Gallery on Patreon, it's a pay it forward situation because, you guys have been so generous. It's a subscription and every little bit helps. So what I did is I said, okay, I am going to take the money that I receive and I'm going to go find other independent, talented artists out there and I'm going to hire them to create content for me. So I went on a site called Fiverr and I found this guy, Anik, who lives in Bangladesh. And I saw some samples of his work and I loved his art because it's very poetic. And I took a chance and I hired him. And, he's like, tell me a little bit about what the song's about. Just, you don't speak in person. So I'm emailing. I'm like, I hope he speaks English. And I gave him a little bit about what the song was about. And he gave me this product. And I just each picture that he created, I just loved. And I did say, I want the characters to have masks because the song is about trying to connect. And I think trying to connect during a pandemic is on a whole new level. And I kind of wanted a timestamp of the period of time where this song, when the song was released. So the characters have masks, but there's some just beautiful, beautiful illustrations. His hand-drawn animation, I just think is beautiful. And I've got I can't wait for you to see the next video. The next video is a dancer that I found in Russia. And oh my God, she blew me away. So the second single is Broken But Beloved, and that comes out next week. Oh. And then the video, I believe, comes out a week or two after that. So I'm working on getting a video for every single song on this record. And they're all going to be, independent artists with different talents around the world.
Well, that's good. You don't just select a couple of them. You can it's almost like a video album now of.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to do. So I have Anik did, he also did one for the piano and he also drew the angel, which is on the CD itself, in the packaging. He did, and that's also the logo for the t-shirt. So yeah.
Sounds like you got a lot out of that Fiverr guy. So that's good.
Yeah. No,
Anik.
It's a strange disease.
I don't want you guys to Google her, which is the only reason why I'm not telling you my dancer's name yet.
That's fine.
I want it to be a surprise. She's incredible. You know how Sia has Maddie Ziegler?
Uh-huh.
You know, do her dance videos? Well, I found my Maddie Ziegler.
Oh.
I can't wait for you to see.
Well, see, that's something that's good that you tease it that way, because just seeing how you react to it, we know it's going to be something special.
Oh, it is. It's special. And she also did something very special for me for Lightning. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lightning is a good one. Let's see. So Try would be the first one that you released, right? And then you're going to do another one, Broken But Beloved.
Broken But Beloved comes out next week. And then the third single before the record comes out is Room at the Bottom.
Good. I think I told you earlier, I like that song a lot. That was just, these are just fun. I try not to think about too much if there's special meaning, hidden meanings behind these songs. You know, sometimes, a poet or a songstress they'll dress something up that means something totally different. But it's just fun. The piano sounds sounds pretty straightforward. Are you just talking about the life of that piano and your life?
Yep, that's autobiographical. That's about my grandmother. That's about my dad's mom, she was a music teacher, and she's the reason why I even started playing piano. And when she passed, she left me her piano, and it was an upright Grinnell piano from Detroit, Michigan. And I wrote, all of my records through deep waters on that Grinnell piano. Wow. Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable with an upright since that you've dealt with that so long?
We had a Steinway after that. It's got a little spoiled. But then when we moved up here, we're in a smaller house, so we didn't have room for it. So I just had a birthday, and my birthday present, and Chip and I have the same birthday, the same week. So our birthday present to each other is a new piano. Well, it's a used piano. We bought a used piano, but it's an upright Yamaha. So I'm anxiously awaiting its arrival.
Great.
Yeah.
These are the special things that you look forward to when you're a musician. So
yeah.
When did you learn how to play piano? Was that even mentioned in the song? How far back is your learning?
I started playing piano by ear when I was 5 or 6 years old. I learned a couple things from my grandma. And then my mom put me, she got a piano teacher, but the piano teacher fired me because she was giving me classical music. And I said, well, wouldn't it be cool if it went like this? And she had that ruler and she like slapped my hand. No.
Oh, no.
So I was actually like writing songs as a kid, but not realizing that I was writing songs. And then I switched teachers, and I had somebody, you know, who took a more kind of a pop approach to teaching me. And that didn't last very long either. I play by ear.
Yeah.
But I can
that's how I learned all my instruments too. There's something special about learning. You're in control. You're guiding and discovering on your own, and that's and then, you know, if you practice and you're good at it, it becomes a part of you. You know.
Yes, it is. But I have to say that, you know, my husband started. I'm not really sure how many years ago. He decided he wanted to learn how to play piano, and because he's a drummer. And he really studied, and he took lessons on YouTube, and he's amazing. He's a much better technical player than I am. So it is possible. I mean, if you don't have the ability, you know, if you don't have that innate ability to just hear things and try to figure out like how to play, hear what's in your head, anybody can learn how to play an instrument.
Oh, good. So you and Chip could do one of those Billy Joel, Elton John piano head-to-head piano concerts or whatever. That'd be nice. Yeah. So I was just picturing when you mentioned that you were songwriting back then and didn't know it. Were you just songwriting? Were you humming songs as you were trying to play and things like that?
Yeah. I was. And basically, I think when I was in like junior high school, I would just, you know, I wrote poems, and I wrote stuff. You know, I didn't realize that they were really songs. It was just kind of like my diary set to music. And eventually, I was singing demos for other people, and I just happened to say, oh, you know what? I made this thing up. Do you mind if I play it? And I did, and I recorded that. And when the manager heard the demos that I had done for the other people, and also heard what I wrote, it was pointed out to me, you're a songwriter. You're a songwriter. You keep doing that. So I did.
So you did. That's a good way to do it. And it's nice. You can tell there's something about the way your voice travels as you play. You know, it dances and floats above the keyboard. It's just it's a journey when you listen to a Cindy Alexander record, and it's, you know, obviously when you're performing for people, it's one thing, but I love the experience of putting down a record or a CD and just listening to how it was produced and knowing that you're the cause of why all these people got together in the first place to do your record, you know, and you never know how it's going to sound, right? You know, has it been, have you stuck with the same kind of production style over all this time, even though you
No. Yeah. No. You know, Dave Darling produced all of my records up until Deep Waters, and that was Kirk's idea. He wanted Colin and I to do a collaboration.
Okay.
Colin and I wrote that entire record together, and he produced it.
Oh, Colin helped. Okay.
Colin did, yes. And then Nowhere to Hide was a live record. I mean, that was Kirk producing and basically just saying, all right, all you guys sit in the same room, one take, and we're going to record just like you would do, you know, a show. And that was a totally different production approach.
Okay.
So that was a live studio record. And then this time I wanted to do something different. It was my choice this time. And choosing a producer was really hard because I'd actually picked 2 producers before I ever got to go into the studio, and they're not who I ended up with because it was taking so long to get approval on my songs and on the producers and contracts and all that stuff that eventually one of the producers that I really wanted to work with, this guy, Ben Gross, who produced Chip when Chip was in a band called Altered State. Ben also produced Ben Folds. He did Rock in the Suburbs. I'm a huge Ben Gross fan. And it turned out I didn't have the budget for Ben, and it also was not working with his schedule. By the time I finally, you know, was able and got the songs together. So, but at one point, Ben had said to me, look, if you get Sean Hurley on your record playing bass, you're going to have a great record, no matter what. He was like insistent that we have Sean Hurley play bass. So I'm trying to think of what it wasn't last summer, and it wasn't the summer before that. It would have been the summer of 2018. Was it summer 2000? No, the summer of 2019. Summer of 2019. Kirk had some time in the studio, and he's like, "Why don't you come in and let's just play around? And why don't you just pick a cover song and we'll just play around?" I said, "Well, I'd like to bring in Sean Hurley and his friends, and let's try him out because I think this is who I want to make my record with." He's like, "Okay." So I said to Sean, I said, if you could put a dream band together, I said, I want like a Mike Campbell kind of guitar player, who would you pick? And he's like, Dave Levita. And I go, and if you could pick any drummer that you want to play with, who do you want to play with? He's like, Vic and Drizzo. Okay. And so those guys came in, and the level of their musicianship and professionalism is beyond compare. I was blown away, and I knew, and Ben was right. I'm like, yeah, Sean Hurley is gold. I mean, he's amazing. He was in Vertical Horizon. He's a hit songwriter. He's played on so many hit records that you've heard. All of these guys have. Vic and Drizzo. He's Alanis Morissette's drummer. He did that record.
Okay.
You've heard Sean with John Mayer, Casey Musgraves, Colby Calais. You've heard Dave Levita. He was in Tuesday Night Music Club.
So you got some top-notch people here.
Yeah, they're amazing. Mike Farrell was also in Alanis's band. Macy Gray. So Mike Farrell, who plays the keys, was actually one of my first keyboard players. True. Way back when I first started, in 98, 99. And then I forget what happened. I'm sure everybody gets
he was just waiting for you to call him back. I guess that was the thing.
He was just so great when Sean suggested Mike Farrell. I'm like, yeah, I remember Mike. I love Mike. So I had this incredible band that I just said, I want to work collaboratively, and but I need your guidance, and so they kind of, Vic and Sean are partners, and they kind of sat in the producer's seat. I definitely had input, but I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, and I knew they could bring something to the table through their experience that I don't have. When I know my limits, I know my capabilities, and I knew that they have a broader palette than I do to choose from, So I'm so happy with this record. I love what they did. There is a song on it, Broken But Beloved, that's produced by Ross Hogarth. Ross is the other producer I really, 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 really wanted to work with. And again, it's like timing and budgets and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, when I did a version of Broken But Beloved with the guys, with Sean and Vic and everyone. And it's an amazing track. It is. But I couldn't sing to it the way I wanted to. It's like it was dictating how I should sing rather than the track letting me tell my story and supporting that story. So I went back and I got to redo that song with Ross. And that song wouldn't have existed without Ross Hogarth, because since I wanted to work with Ross, he had given me inspiration tracks. And I heard a song by Peter Himmelman called Impermanent Things. And I wrote it almost as an answer to his song. And I listened very intently to Ross's list. And I knew what he liked about each song. And I'm like, I'm going to incorporate all those things in this song. And he kind of coached me the whole way. It's like, oh, you can do better than that. You can do better than that. No, you can't go there. Give me something else, So I'm indebted to Ross for that song, because I think it's one of my favorite songs that I've ever written.
Wow.
And it was an honor to work with him. And he brought in, we had Michael Bacon play cello on it from the Bacon Brothers.
Uh-huh.
And Brian McLeod, another Tuesday Night Music Club guy. he played drums and Sean played bass. And Greg Saran from the Goo Goo Dolls played guitar on that. So again, I mean, it was a level of performers that, I never would have been able to do on my own. I definitely Blue Elan made that possible for me to have this dream team.
That's awesome.
On my record. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. There's a tiny bit of a reunion of sorts. You had Mike Farrell, you had Michael Bacon show up, and that's nice. Did any of these other people that you were mentioning, did they know who Cindy Alexander is? Or were they aware of your career?
Probably not. I don't know.
You were sort of an underground of sorts legend, in town. So it's nice because I would see you on bills. It's just nice to follow somebody, and I keep waiting for you to become an international superstar, and then just say, hey, I got to interview you. You can always dream. Well, so now you've talked about Broken but Beloved. Now that you've talked so much about it, what's the song about? Since it's such a great song,
it's about impermanence.
Yeah,
it's about impermanence, and it seizing the moments, and we know how, and also there's a spiritual element to it as well. Writing this while Mom was dying definitely figured into it.
So you did that then.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's good.
I hope people can find their own story in it, but
that's good. And then at the time we're talking, it's coming out before you know it, it's going to be here, and you're going to have a video and everything. So
we are broken but beloved. We are damaged but divine. We are broken but beloved. We are unexploded minds, healing on the surface, bleeding out on purpose, while the angels sigh. We are broken but beloved, and we are fragments of the light, temporary sparks turning cartwheels in the dark, till the tunnel turns to white. Stay with me tonight. We know how this thing ends. I don't need another friend to spend my time. We are broken but beloved. We are stagnant then revived, perfectly imperfect, completely wired circuits. When you turn me on, I shine. Stay with me tonight. We know how this thing ends. I don't need another friend to spend my time. Spend my time. are broken but beloved. We are fragments of the light. We are broken but beloved. When you turn me on, I shine.
Well, I liked there was a couple of them that had names that I just wasn't expecting to see. You know, what was the one? How do you say that? Alizarin Crimson.
Oh, Alizarin Crimson.
Yeah, that was. I don't know. I don't know if I understood it, but I liked listening to it. It's just that.
Oh, I'll tell you. Do you have See Red? Do you have that record?
I don't have it with me. No.
Okay, well, go listen to Joey, because it's the sequel to Joey.
Oh, Joey. Okay, that makes sense.
Joey's a character that first appears on See Red.
Okay.
And now she appears.
Yeah.
It's her story in Alizarin Crimson. And
so you're making referrals to that.
I'm making it for now. The way I got that title is my daughter was taking art class, and I was given a list by the instructor to go pick up paints. And one of the paints that I had to pick up was Alizarin Crimson. And I joked, I'm like, oh, I'm going to put that one in the song. So there you go.
Well, it's good. See, I'm a simple man. Sometimes I don't understand things. So that was, yeah. What was the other, the one that was, now I'm going to screw that up too. Chiaroscuro.
It's another.
Gosh, I'm such a rube. Anyway, that's, what's that word mean?
Oh, it's a relationship of light and dark, and
is it?
You know what? I should Google a good. I don't know if I can get into my husband's phone here. Hang on one second. I'll tell you what it is exactly.
I'm here for you.
I don't want to. Oh, hey, hang on. I think he might have changed his password.
Chiaroscuro, huh?
Yeah. I love. Like there's paintings and photographs that are chiaroscuro samples, but I used it in relation to the polarization going on in the world, and especially in Los Angeles, with the Black Lives Matter movement and I was so emotionally impacted watching this revolution go on, and feeling like there's so much that I want to say and do, but feeling powerless. And does my voice matter? And if I say something, is it coming off as I'm just joining the crowd? Like I don't like using my position as an entertainer to be a political spokesperson. I'm a quiet and personal activist. It's not something that, you don't have to like brag about charity. You don't have to like say, oh, I did this, or, it's a personal thing for me. And I will donate, I will support causes, but it's not, I don't feel comfortable with that being part of, who I am, Cindy Alexander, as a musician.
Yeah.
And I also would I would talk to my project manager, Casey, about this, because Casey is in charge of the culture of Blue Elan, and, awareness and inclusivity. And I would talk to her. I'm like, when you see like a sign on somebody's house, in the Hollywood Hills that says, Black Lives Matter, I support you. Do you, how does that make you feel? And I didn't, part of me was like, is that like saying, don't break into my house, I support you, or is it, who is it really aimed to? Is it aimed to, do you know what I'm saying? It's just It's a very awkward thing for a white privileged woman to talk about. And I can't, it's not my place. but I can react to it and I can say, I want to do something, but I don't know how. And I don't know what to do that's the right thing to do. And I think I was just so caught up in that. And that's where chiaroscuro came from.
That is an interesting way to come to that. Yeah. Yeah. I looked it up, so I understand what you're trying to say. I was amazed that,
treatment of light and shade in a drawing and painting. And I'm saying treatment of light and shade in life, and in color and in people. And, so it's I can sit here and I can celebrate the oneness, a collective soul and feeling that we all, bleed the same color and we're all human, but however we are different. And this is a time where, I'm learning more about that. And anyway, so that's what was going on in my head when I wrote that song.
Okay. The word jumped out at me and I said, oh no, she's using big words that I didn't understand. I think I don't know if I can keep up with Cindy's stuff. But then there was now, did you write everything with the exception of the James Taylor one I saw on here? Yes. But everything else is all you, right?
Yeah, there's some co-writes.
Oh yeah. So there are. Which one did you co-write?
I co-wrote Try and Piano and Lightning with Dave Darling. But Dave Darling actually came in at the end of Lightning because I had written it with Linda Good. Okay. She's in the band called the Twigs. She's also a great solo artist. And it wasn't. It still needed something. It was missing something. And then Dave gave me a track. He was like, why don't you try singing it to this? And I kind of moved some stuff around, added some more lyrics. That's a song I worked on a lot. And I love where it landed when Dave gave me a track to kind of morph my ideas into that track. And then I wrote Walking Constellation and Room at the Bottom with Kevin Fisher. We also have a duo called the Hummingbards.
That's right. I forgot about the Hummingbards. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Chiaroscuro, Broken But Beloved is all me. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I wrote with. Oh, Paul Trudeau, my old writing partner way back from C Red.
Okay.
We wrote The Power of You, and we wrote Alizarin Crimson.
Sounds great.
Alizarin was almost done. Like I'd had that, and it needed to be finished off. And Paul came in and he wrote the bridge on that. And I'm like, that's it. And he gave me the groove. So.
So you say
you never know what's going to make a song,
Alizarin Crimson, I can say that, but when I looked at it on the printed out, I started to Alizari, like I couldn't.
Alizarin Crimson. Yeah, it sings. I promise you.
Lightning was one of the ones I thought you could play live, but you feel free to pick whatever one suits you, because whatever one you're most excited about. It. Lightning has the bad word in it, though, don't it?
You know what? I'll edit out the bad word for you.
Yeah, I don't mind it. People are free to let it fly, but on the podcast, I got to keep my clean status. So
I get it. Now I
had one person that was just letting F words and S words, and I go, shoot, I don't know if I can get in there and start. It's hard to edit because I can remember. I never make a marker when somebody said something.
I was just asked by a radio person to please deliver them a clean version of Lightning. So I will change the bad word. And
when I do the video thing like this, I leave this uncensored. The audio podcast, I got to try to clean it up a little bit. So.
Well, I haven't said anything bad yet, have I?
No, you haven't.
Okay, good.
There's always the next 5 minutes. You never know what you'll say. So.
Hey, Dean. Here you go. This is Lightning, live from my bedroom. How can you just sit there with your eyes upon a platter, speaking in third person as if I don't really matter? You've all but given up to find a way to bury me. I'm a ghost that won't lay low, busy bee. Well, I know we planned a party rave underneath the table, and she could give two shits about my video on cable. Tell me that I can't, I'll do it twice for fun. I'm not blonde or 21, but I strike lightning, I strike through. I'm so frightening, I find the outline of your ego when it moves. Does it freak you out? I find the heart to cut in two. I strike lightning, and I strike through. I'm chewing on a gummy while I finish up a song. I know they're gonna hate it, they'll say it's not my genre. Well, they can kill it, worm will win it, burrow it like it's tinnitus. I won't quit till I'm finished, I'm not done till I strike lightning, I strike through. I'm so frightening, I find the outline of your ego when it moves. So does it freak you out? I find the heart to cut in two. I strike lightning, and I strike through. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. How can I just sit here with my heart upon a platter, speaking in first person like I think I really matter? I thought of giving up, then I thought again, you see, I'm a ghost that won't lay low, busy bee. I strike lightning, I strike through. I'm so frightening, I find the outline of your ego when it moves. So does it freak you out? I find the heart to cut in two. I strike lightning, and I strike through. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. There you go.
Anyway, I just want to make sure I gave your album justice, and as all my shows, I like to slip in a little track or two so that people can have a taste of what you have.
Sure.
Yeah, but I was excited about the piano, and I loved A Room at the Bottom, and Try is obviously a great. That's a good one, and you have like the good little catchy hook in there. You got the ooh ooh wow wow wow, and that's you even tried to spell that out in the video, so it's. Let me see. Cleanse my palate. Here's my thing I got from Cindy over the quarantine. The lights shining too much. It's a little keychain. It says Peanut Gallery 2020 Quarantine, and that's fun. I have a special place for all my tchotchkes and things like that I get from. Mm-hmm. So that little thing I like to ask at the end. Quarantine's been tough for a lot of people. You've probably seen your friends go through some weird things and or worse, people go through depression, and it's been tough for a lot of entertainers. And is there any like positive message you might be able to tell some of these people, to tell them that don't give up? I know it's a tough thing, but we'll all get through this together, and there seems to be some light coming.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that, as somebody who's gone through trauma in the past, I can recognize that that's what this is. And we are all going through it together. This is a collective trauma. Some people obviously have had it way worse than others. I know I have friends that have lost multiple family members to this disease. But what it has done is it's made us all, focus on our priorities, deepen our relationships, learn new skills, and, it's forcing us to think outside the box. We can't do things the way we did before. And how can we do it better now? I feel like I'm peeking under the curtain now. There's a little light under there. I'm so happy that the vaccines are there. I think we have to just still stay vigilant and, wear our masks. And I am not that person that's going out touring right now. I don't feel safe right now. I will after I get vaccinated. And, I know my kids are settled right now. I'm a teacher at home, Zoom school. So I'm grateful that I've had this year at home with my family and with my kids. It's, they're in middle school. It's a really hard time for them. So I see for me personally, it's been a really, really hard year, probably one of the hardest years of my life, especially losing mom, but a really good year in that we've made decisions, as a family that I think will impact our life immeasurably, in a positive way. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That'll do for a good close to the show. I really appreciate you, Cindy. You're one of those angels. I know you have a lot of angels around you and living and in the beyond. And I hope you find more feathers, in your life. We found that with my dad. My wife has her father has passed a long time ago. So every time she sees a hummingbird, she knows that's him. Every time we see a hawk, we know that's my dad. So, and he seems to show up at the most surprising times. So that's been a new experience. We never thought we'd. I always had my parents for all those times, and I didn't think it was going to come to an end. So, that's the circle of life, isn't it? These things will happen. So, yeah. But I appreciate I felt a little kinship. So that when we first met each other, we talked about our cancers, and we were able to literally cut them out of our bodies and move on. So that's a good thing.
We are resilient.
That's how we are. Tell everybody real quick. So you got this new album. It's called While the Angels Sigh.
While the Angels Sigh.
Yeah.
And it's available for pre-order now. Comes out April 23rd. And over the next few weeks, we're releasing more singles and more videos. And I also have the Peanut Gallery on Patreon, which is it's my favorite corner of the internet. And it's where all the really good stuff is, and the behind the scenes and all the demos to my record are there for the listening. And that's about it right now.
I dig that. I like that you're on Patreon, because it's a lot of fun.
Patreon. I like Patreon too.
I had to crowbar that joke in there somewhere, but that was because I am part of that too. I support you on Patreon, and it's a lot of fun to see all the goodies that you put out there, and it's just a great experience getting to talk to you again and getting to see you this time as we talk.
Yeah.
And everybody go check it out. What's the best way to find you online? Your website or social media? What's the best thing to do?
Gosh, anywhere. You can go to cindyalexander.com and it'll link you to everywhere, or just, Google Cindy Alexander. It's patreon.com/Cindy Alexander.
Try putting in Peanut Sings. Yeah, that will work, right? Yeah.
Facebook. I love my Facebook family. It's great. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Peanut Sings, PNUTSINGS. At Peanut Sings is my Twitter and Instagram.
Wonderful. The great Cindy. And thank you so much for our talk. Thanks for getting into a couple of subjects that are a little bit heart-wrenching, but it was worth it. And I sure appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean. I really appreciate your time and all the support you've given me over the years.
Oh, it's always been a pleasure. Thank you. Cindy Alexander, everybody. Go back to your family. All my best to them, too.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Cindy Alexander. Bye.